heading into Fort Point on the walking trails. These heavily terraced section, and most of it has a lot of difficult to enter bushes that are planted, very young plants and trees. And this area is all terraced, going deep down into the battery area. So having a chance to walk in today, this is the beginning of the megalithic seawall that is still visible, but I noticed, see how wet it is, this place is taking waves. Here it comes. The tide is going out, but not for a few hours. We'll see one of the lowest tides of the year. Okay, between waves, I want you to see that this wall actually extends underneath the very old concrete. So it appears that, and from my measuring point of 1,800 feet was from here, but it does continue on, and it appears to be covered for indefinite distance. Between waves, have a peek. So right back here, you can see that just through that thin veneer of top concrete, then it does become the wall that runs through the entire perimeter and around the fort itself and partially up the coast. But the anchors for the Golden Gate Bridge are contained within this massive wall. So we're going to walk along. Notice that each one of these big ones is approximately 6,500 pounds each, side by side. Then there's the one that interlocks, the triple interlock, and back to the 6,500 pound. And this appears to all be granite. There's machine tool marks. And I'm going to bring the detector out, and we're going to see if there's metal between the joints, like they're telling us. So we're examining the wall at Fort Point up close. David, what do you think of the granite that you're seeing?
How old is it? It's amazing. Look at those curves. Look at those just those angles. I mean, they are polygonal, right? And that's stone, right? That's not cement. That's not geopolymer.
So this appears to be mined granite, and each one of the blocks is a repeating pattern. So it looks as if each one could be replaced anywhere as a replacement. I think there seems to be only 3 sizes shown here.
Well, okay, so we've got one direction that's perpendicular from the others that I'm looking at, and those have 1, 2, on both sides, angles cut into it that encompass the other 2 perpendicular blocks. So they are actually interlocking. And if it's not geopolymer, if it's not cement, if it's granite, which is what it looks like to me, then somebody somewhere had to literally be able to carve each of those blocks perfectly. And with what tools are we talking about that can make those little angles? You know, it's just an ever so slight angle, but obviously a big plan. You can see all the little pole marks where for over the years they've replaced this awning. I hope she's safe on that one over there, because that apparently somebody just told me, maybe you, that it's supposed to, it looks just like the original. But what's the original?
So walking along this seawall, noticing the details as they repeat, coming up towards the fort itself. So you can see all the boulders here are added. A huge amount of boulders where this used to be a vertical surface all the way down to the sand. So you can see with the water level, with the boulders removed, could be 20 more feet, maybe 30 feet from where we are now. The tide is going to continue to go. So here's one of the intersection components. We've got the marker. They just recently removed the chains that were here from the last time I was visiting, and these aluminum rails are here. They're not bad. But originally there was no rails. Just like up inside the fort, around the inside, there were originally no rails. So looking back at the bluff from the visitor center. So this bluff, which is mostly covered by very young trees and various bushes, but looking at the terrain feature on Google Earth, which I think you should do, and you will see that there's a lot of geometry and there's a lot of shape, and then there's batteries, installations with brick arches partially buried all throughout. So I really wanted to show off this granite here. Each of these spiral staircase treads is an individual granite piece that could be as much as 8,000 pounds each, and it goes in a circle. We're inside of a circular tower with an octagonal exterior, and each of the components are interlocking. So as it comes up to the next floor, we're going to see this large and thick granite slab where it's self-supporting in the center. Let's have a good look. Really nice inside round surface. Large flat surface for the landing of the second floor.
Special piece over there. You got this piece right here. And look at the seam. They talk about not being able to put a hair between the ones in Peru. And there's no mortar there, right?
That's about as straight and close as you could hope for in any time period.
I mean, obviously they had a metal blade cutting these stones, right?
It would probably, there is no metal, but it would have to be diamond. So the modern stone cutting saw blades are metal with the cutting surface diamond infused. This is a very, have a look at this, right where you are, stand right where you are. Right below your feet, you can clearly see the vein of the granite changing to a different color.
Yeah, I was noticing that earlier.
This is, that's something you would see out of natural stone.
There's another one right there. That's
very hard.
There you go.
There's more veining here, but the saw marks are very evident, and it's taken almost no wear. Somewhere on the surface, but the front edge looks like it just came off the saw.
Look at this little keystone right here. Wonder why that's like that.
Down at the batteries below the Golden Gate Bridge, and we're seeing openings into all these mounds. Here we see the brick construction with the pedestal mount, and then as we come along the trail, each one of these cutouts has brick entranceways. Not supposed to go in here. Super bad behavior. So it goes deep into the side of here. Appears to be bricked up. There's an opening. And it goes far inside. But this is inside the hillside. All throughout this area. So they're all interconnected, these batteries. And then we'll go into this tunnel, which of course connects. We didn't look for some side passageways that are opened up or blocked up. It's like a probably went, okay, this does go through. This totally goes through. So huge metal. A lot of mud has come in here, so the original door height must have been much taller. But that definitely goes into the building, into the side of the hill. No doubt about it. So this is full of mud. That's why it's so low clearance.
Well, yeah. Well, it does have an angle.
Precision work again.
That doesn't mean it didn't fill up. And when we say filled up, it filled up with a bunch of. What is that stuff? It doesn't look like anything but.
So this is the area that I wanted
Sorry.
to look inside of. This door.
Oh, so didn't you just say you went in there? Oh, listen. Well, obviously, it's part of a tunnel system.
Goes deep inside.
Right in the middle there. Well, you know, the whole
Very
thing
precision brickwork.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something. Do they cast them first, or do they cast bricks in general, right? And then do they cut them? Maybe they cast those special angles for just one brick.
So some of these specialty ones look like they were either produced, like you said, or cut on site. But there are some, the ones that face the top of that wall come down and then return down at an unusual angle.
I don't know how you can anticipate all those angles back in 1850. I mean, what kind of blueprints would they have access to that would say, okay, we're going to cut these bricks?
Right, and when you're talking about blueprints, that's one of the most difficult things to find. And to lay out this work to where you had enough materials on site to be productive would be very important. You'd have to know what you're doing.
What was that guy?
So this is a driverless parking lot attendant. So it has all scanners evident, probably other things. Full scanning, driverless, looking for license plates, and penalizing people that don't pay money over here. So I'm going to go pay money over here.
I saw one of those in Phoenix, Arizona.
I've never seen one of those.
I saw
So,
one earlier today.
but what I figured out is
Uh-oh,
if we got to pay here, or that way that guy's going to screw us over.
Okay, so I guess we're going to pay $3 per piece, right? So that's 6 foot. That's 1, 2, and I would say 3 a little bit more. So 3 is 6 foot. That's 24 inches square.
So while we're here, and just from some of your experiences, have you been noticing the genital?
Yeah, I've noticed in Spain for sure. And you know, sometimes I wonder if they were built for like a carriage, but when they're this tall, I don't see much point.
And there's so many of them.
You get back a semi plus. Oh, by the way, did you see the cruise ship almost touched the bridge when
I
it
did.
went under? I was like, wow.
So this would be ready for use in 1915.
This whole building.
This was all part of. This was one
This
of.
is aftermarket stucco right here.
This here is some of the remodeling they may have done in the 70s.
So how many did we count? We counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Plus another one is 13. Maybe you can fit 14 in there. That's 14 times 2 is 28 feet tall.
Back at the Palace of Fine Arts, and with us today is special guest David Stig Hansen, and we're going to look through the property and examine some of the intricate mold work in the columns. People here are doing a wedding shoot. What's your first impression after being away from the property for so many years?
Well, I have to be honest. I've never been here. Technically,
I thought you'd been here 20 years ago.
I drove past.
Okay.
But I didn't stand here and realize. My impression is it's a lot bigger than I ever suspected.
A lot of people don't realize it's 160 feet tall, and
Wow.
there's intricate detail on each of these urns. There's an urn above every archway, and they go around the entire perimeter, and there's some ancient Roman Latin inscriptions, which again can only really be appreciated with the help of this zoom lens.
Oh, there you go. Okay, we
So I want to bring, I can't read it, but I've got some great photos of it, but I'm going in tight right now.
You're going to show me a photo?
So if anyone's able to translate or help translate some of that language seen up there, but really it can only be appreciated until the use of some of the larger zoom cameras. Right, so this looks like a plaster, and it doesn't look very high quality. And it looks like this might have been a repair. You can see the size of the joints between the panels. It's not representative of the other style. Right, not quite as nice. But this pedestal here seems to be an older, much higher quality.
What's this all about? Oh, that's it.
Some repairs. But this here, did you notice the representation of the fascies around the perimeter?
No, I don't know what that means. You mean like?
So it's the bound rods with the axe head. It's seen in much of the architecture.
Gotcha.